to the how to launch and scale your perfect online business event. This is workshop number 3, and I have got such a great pleasure to invite a friend, someone who I've known for years, on Axel Carrasquillo, master anti himself. We've worked together closely for so long, mate. It's actually a pleasure to do this with you. I'm super excited. How's things?
Same. Great. Thanks for having me. I'm super excited to share my wisdom. Yeah.
Now, I'm not gonna lie, you have possibly been one of the most popular people, and when I've been chatting to people, like, I want Excel, I want Excel, I want Excel, I want this. Like, this, guys, is hot. This is going to be an incredible episode, all around mindset. Now, bit of a background: Axel has been a shaman for how long?
My entire life. So yeah, I started training at the age of 6, and then it's just progressively evolved as I've gotten older, I guess. Yeah.
So obviously lifelong shaman, and you obviously own your own business. Your business was offline, it's online majority now. Tell everyone a little bit about your business. Like, what is it and how do you help people?
Yeah, so what I'm really well known for is consciousness shifting and energy reprogramming. So I figure out what are the limiting beliefs, the programs that are in people's minds, and then we figure out how it's creating all these other domino effects in their reality. So like if you have a very deep rooted feeling of unworthiness, that could be translating to your job, where your job basically doesn't give you a promotion when you know you should be having that promotion. So when I work with people, I basically just go in there and I shift it similar to like a computer or an app on your phone or anything like that. And then once you shift that, their whole entire life changes. Like they'll get the promotion, they'll even get a better job than what they expected, and their relationship will change, all these different things. And it all really just comes down to not only mindset, but energy, because energy runs through the mind. So you have to figure out what's the energy that you're basically attuned to that's going to keep creating all these scenarios that you do or do not want.
Absolutely love it. And as you say, like, energy is through every cell, DNA, everything about us, around us, is all there. And as you say, energy runs through the mind and mindset. Like we've covered on the last episode with Bogdan, that basically mindset is the only thing stopping you from not succeeding in your business. If you don't have a strong mindset, if you don't, the way Bogdan described it was basically, you've got the car, which is the business, but how do you fuel the car? It's not with strategies, it's with your mind. If you don't get your mindset right, that fuel, no matter what fuel you put in there, it's just not going to work. Mindset is so crucial. What we also identified in the last workshop was the fact that most courses that you buy online, like to try and improve your business, cannot get the mindset part of the course correct. Now, guys, this possibly what we'll go through today. Well, I know, because I'm Axel's enrollment coach, will probably cost you about $3,000, $4,000. This is going to be pure gold. Now, before we dive into the slides and the presentation, etc., which obviously I can't really wait for, so I'm going to have to contain myself. I'm going to have to relax. What made you go online? What made you take this business online, your spiritual business, especially with, like, it's only gone a lot more mainstream over the last, what, like 5, 6 years, maybe
Yeah,
3.
but the last 2 years, yeah, the last 2 years, you and I doing what we've been doing, it's blown up. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah.
But what made you go online to start with?
Honestly, like I always had like an online or a in-person kind of situation with my business up until COVID. And when COVID happened, it was really weird. I was already kind of sort of transitioning into an online phase because I started noticing that I was getting more and more clients globally. So of course I can't have them come in-house in Detroit. So when COVID happened, it just kind of like forced me to like sink or swim, right? Like it was, all right, you're going to stay with the old model of things or you're going to like evolve. And that's where we really started like, the initiative originally started with me saying, okay, how can I be of more service in a way that the world, in this moment right now where the world is like in such chaos, right? Like how can I still be present and available for the people who need me? And the only answer was an online business. Like there was no other way, because especially where I was at, like so many businesses were closing. And even though they had really good retention, people were still afraid with what was happening in the world where they weren't even taking a chance. So that was one of my first driving methods. And then, of course, that was super scary because it was a brand new thing that I had gotten into. I didn't really fully master it. I only had like occasional online sessions here and there. And then as like, the pandemic continued to grow, like we started implementing all these different structures in the business that said, okay, like, it didn't matter what your issue was, there was someone or something available for you at that time. It was more so like a service-based idea when the world was in chaos.
Yeah, and I think one thing obviously I do want to touch on obviously is we grew your business through the worst pandemic in like recent history. Like your business grown and it continues to grow month on month on month. Like, but you mentioned just at the start, like it was scary going online. Like everybody who watches this will be online, like because you've got like a lot of people who've come to register for the event. They've been like spiritual healers and like wanting to have a spiritual online business. How do you help them get through that fear? Like, is it as bad as, or is it scary as you think it is, or is it just the unknown?
Fear, what I've learned over the years, like, because what a lot of people don't understand is like, I've spent $500,000 trying to learn how to become a millionaire. And like, that's because I've been so dedicated to that craft. Like, I'm like, this is one of my goals. This is on my bucket list. I have to make this happen in one way, shape, or form. And one of the things that I've learned spending that money, spending that time with specific gurus and stuff like that is like fear is just like a decorated way of procrastination. Like fear is the thing that's going to make you say, oh, like today's not a good day, or oh, maybe I won't, like if I try, it won't even like work out. But you have to understand, just like with any other craft or talent or anything like that, if you want to build your muscle, you have to go to the gym, and immediately you're not going to see the shifts that you're looking for. It's not like you're going to go to the gym once and then you're going to come out looking like the hottest person ever. You have to consistently give into it. And if you have the fear of like picking up the weights or feeling a little bit of the burn when you're doing the workout, you're never going to get to where you're going. So you need to understand, primarily, everyone who's listening, right? Like it's a little program in your head that's basically wanting to keep you in the same place that you've always been. And that's what we call the ego in shamanism, or, like your personality identity. Now, a lot of times people are going to tell you, oh, you got to destroy that voice. Really, like in my work, what I've learned is you need to coach that voice. That's an old version of you that it needs some sort of attention and care so that it can evolve with you, and then you can become an even better person. So like, partially fear is, yeah, okay, the unknown, like what's going to happen if X, Y, and Z happens, right? But that's entrepreneurship. Like if you're going to have a business and you're going to be afraid of what's to come, you might as well not get into this, because you don't know what's going to come. And you have to be able to handle things progressively as they come to you until you have a structure that then is predictable. And that's like the hardest part, where a lot of entrepreneurs don't understand, is like you need a structure eventually or your business will sink. And part of that structure is going to take time, because you have to see what works, what doesn't, and then like how you can pivot and curve while the whole entire ecosystem is changing. So like it's a constant evolution of yourself, your business, and basically like the mindset of how you even work with people and what your target is. Because a lot of times people even pigeonhole themselves, because they're like, oh, like I started off being an energy healer and now I want to get into just specifically coaching, but I can't do that because all my clients are relying on me for energy healing. And one of the things that have really helped my students that have been able to like reach six figures is like, no matter what it is, you're going to always have like an ebb and flow, like an up and down. So like if you have a bunch of clientele that have gotten used to you doing Reiki, for instance, and then now you want to do coaching, okay, you're going to lose some of those clients along the way. And you have to be okay with that, because they were originally coming to you for Reiki and now you're doing coaching. There's no alignment there anymore. Some of those old clients are going to say, oh, you know what? I've never tried coaching. Let me progress with you. And those are the clients that you're going to basically hold on to. And those are the people you study from. And that's what helps you kind of like get over the fear, because you have the evidence, you have all the pieces in front of you that you can work with to help you get to the next level. You just have to be willing to execute it. And even though you have fear, you keep going. And that's going to be another up and down. Like there's days where you're going to have fear and you're going to be like, this is nothing, I can do this, right? And other days you're going to have fear and you're going to be like, I feel completely paralyzed. You have to create a structure, right? Even with yourself to say, when I feel fear, this is how I'm going to respond. It's almost like a contingency plan. A lot of
Mm.
people don't end up doing that. And that's why you see a lot of businesses like fail, they flop, especially online businesses, because a lot of people just think like, oh, it's the internet. You know what I mean? Like a great example is like one of my students launched his very first course not too long ago. And he had this mental like picture that it was going to sell like hotcakes and everything was going to pop off, but he didn't do any of the marketing. He didn't do any of the when he failed, he was like, "Oh, like feel so defeated." Don't feel defeated. What did you do last time? How can you change it? What can you evolve now? And just keep going until you get a response. That's what's not going to let you lose or fail in your business. Mhm.
I absolutely love that. And do you know what? Obviously, for the people who are watching and are listening, going, well, it's all right for Excel. Like he's been doing this for donkey's years. Like behind the curtain or behind the scenes, like there has been days where me and Excel will message each other, going, I don't know what to do. Like, what the hell is going on? My mind is not working. Like, complete honesty. Like, me and Excel do have those days, and obviously, thankfully, we've got each other, and we literally message each other like, "Oh my god, this has happened. I can't. I just can't cope today. What the hell's going on?" And having like just to know that no matter what level you are at, like mindset is an ongoing journey. As Excel said, like the contingency plans, the foundations that, right, okay, today's not a good day. I'm having issues with this or this or this. It's like, what is the plan? Like, I'll be honest, like just before today, like obviously today's event, um, Theo, like my youngest, did not sleep really well at all. And I mean, like, he was a pain, an absolute pain. So I come into my office today ready for this event, and I'm like that, leaning against the walls, like, oh my God, how am I going to deliver the energy, the upbeat, and obviously give people what they deserve? And thankfully, contingency plan came in place. Like obviously, I always have this contingency plan anyway. Got me Rocky Balboa music onto YouTube, obviously because he is one motivational guy, but it's Sylvester Stallone. And by the time it came to my first interview, I was bouncing. I was ready to go. That was my right. Today is a tired day. How do you cope? And that was my contingency. Like me and Excel, like thankfully bat each other, like bat ideas off each other, and we get through those bad days. Like it happens to us all. Do not think that no matter what level you're at, it will or won't happen to you, or it's okay for us to preach, because we still have mindset issues every now and again. It's how you deal with them.
Yeah, and like your mindset, like as you evolve as a person, the issues that used to bother you before are not even a thing, but you develop new things that you have to overcome. So a lot of times people are like, "Oh my God, like you're supposed to have a seven-figure business and everything's supposed to be super easy." Like, no, definitely not. Like, because even if the business is running well, like you might have those, like you said, like you might have those days where you just like are not feeling it. You might even have months that you're not feeling it, and you have to figure out a way to be your own best friend, your own coach, your own supporting factor to help you get through it if you're not working with somebody specifically as well.
Yeah, and I remember I won't go into too much detail, but I remember a conversation me and you, and you were going mad about this one element, and I was looking at it going, I was like, but we're doing this, this, and this. I was like, but this very small thing was happening like not all the time, but a few times, and you were fuming. I remember the voice
Mhm.
notes that you were absolutely fuming. I was like, let's look at it. It's like, it's fine. I was like, look at what we're doing compared to what that little element was.
Hiccup, yeah, that glitch was, yeah,
and,
yeah.
and now we don't get those messages. Like we don't get those little the 1 centimeter
No.
is really annoying. The 98 centimeters that are working. Um,
Mhm.
that's thankfully now not a thing. Now not a
Yeah,
thing.
and that was totally a mindset that I had to go over because I was so used to focusing on consistent perfect results, right? And like or like the closest thing to perfection as possible. So like when one thing in our tech system or anywhere else like just was slightly off, it would make me feel like I'm not doing the best, and it would throw me off like the hinges for like a hot minute. And yeah, you were definitely there for a lot of it, so I'm sorry.
Oh no, I wouldn't have been anywhere else, mate. You know that. So before we go into the deep mindset, obviously of the slides, etc., I would be a stupid marketer if I didn't ask a couple of these questions. You have like 150,000 followers on TikTok. You have like 27, I think, nearly like 1,000 followers on Instagram. You have an email list that literally love you, right? How how have you
Honestly,
built
okay.
this? Like, no matter what platform you go to, it just explodes for you. Like, how do you do it?
Okay, so this, well, that one's like a big one. Um, what sometimes people don't understand is that what you do on one platform is not going to always work on another platform. So just because you popped off on TikTok and you're like, oh, okay, it did so great, let me go to Instagram and just repeat the process. Instagram's a totally different culture than TikTok. So you have to actually it's almost like getting to know a person. You need to understand, okay, on TikTok, people are looking for X, Y, and Z, and they have this vibe. How can I still be me, delivering the highest, best, quality of content or whatever it is that you're doing in my way, in that language? So TikTok would be like a language versus Instagram, right? And that's why, like, you can see, like, it does take some time, especially if you're somebody who's really good at TikTok versus Instagram. It might take you forever to actually understand how to speak Instagram language. But if you keep going, eventually you'll understand it. It becomes second nature. And that's one of the things that a lot of times people look at the analytics of doing these types of things, and they get stuck on like, oh, the to do, all these different things. You just need to understand it becomes a second nature, right? You and I are talking right now. We're not preemptively calculating every word that's going to come out of our mouth. We're just doing it. It's a natural flow state. So once you understand how Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, whatever works, right? It's a flow state. You can, like, now, I think when I first started doing like YouTube type stuff, it would take me literally, I'm not kidding you, like 4 hours to just post a video and do all the SEO and do all that other stuff. Now I can do it in less than an hour, and all my retention when it comes to like the grading of my SEO is a 90% to 100%. Like that before used to take me forever. So another thing is like, the way you interact with your communities on different platforms is also going to give you an insight as to like the bigger brand picture. So on Instagram, you're going to notice that people want to talk about a specific something. They want to see a specific level of you because that's where those types of people are at, right? So if on Instagram I'm talking about the chakras and that's popping off, that's where I should be creating my content. And you need to almost like keep like rather an internal database, a spreadsheet, or a notebook that lets you understand like how your community is growing and flowing and going on these different directions. The main thing too is like authenticity. Like people can definitely feel when you're creating content just for the likes or just because you want them to pay attention to you. And this is something that's taken me forever to really learn is like the energy aspect, right? When you create content that's about me, like, and you can, even though if you don't make the content saying, oh, it's talking about me, but you have the energy behind it where it's like, I'm posting it so you can follow me, so you can like, come to my page. People feel like you're not being real. Like even if they followed your page, they wouldn't get the value because they can see or feel at a subconscious level that you're working from like a place of self-service, which is okay to be in self-service in certain aspects of your business. But when you're creating content, is about how much of an impact can you give to people in whatever time slot you got, right? Like in 60 seconds, if you're doing a TikTok, how much of a whoa factor can you give people? And a lot of times that involves you being outside of the box, right? Like you have specific thoughts, specific things that are coming to you that nobody else is thinking about, that nobody else is even like can even explain to you. And I've heard that so many times on my social media platforms where people are like, oh wow, like I've heard the same message like 70 different times from all these different TikTokers, but it was until I saw you, the way you explained it, my mind blew, and it totally made sense, right? So you have to understand that even though there's a repetition, even people need to keep hearing that. And oftentimes when you're even creating social media content, you say, okay, well, I made a video already on the throat chakra, so why do I got to make the same video again? If you're a coach, you'll understand this. Like sometimes when you're working with somebody, you have to continuously drill the same message over and over and over again from all these different angles at different times until the person's like, oh shit, like you've been saying that to me for a hot minute and I didn't understand what you were saying, right? Now I get it because you kept repeating it. So it is like this thing of like, you need to understand each person you're working with through the internet is one person, even though you're talking to the collective world. You need to be focused on a one-on-one scale with your content. And that's kind of like what I do. Like if I create a YouTube video, I usually imagine rather I'm talking to one person or I'm talking to at least a room of 5. That way my intention feels like it's very honed in. And when I'm doing like a TikTok or an Instagram, depending on like what the content is, sometimes I'm making it just for one person. Sometimes I'm making it for 1,000 people. It's the energy that comes by it, but my energy is always, how can I make your life better? You know, even if you never work with me, how do I make your life better? And that's a lot of times where a lot of influencers even fail because they're like, okay, well, I shouldn't make this piece of content because it's me giving away too much of my secret sauce. Oh, some people are going to hear that secret sauce and it's going to go right over their head. They're never going to like register it. And other people are going to be intrigued, being like, whoa, you give me so much value. I can trust you. I can come to you. I can work with you. And everything that this business has to do with, especially the internet nowadays, is trust, is authenticity. If you're not emanating transparency, if you're not emanating the fact that you actually do care about people, or you're somehow expanding your brand to service more people, that's going to eventually blow up on your face.
Absolutely love it. So very quickly before we move on to the slides, 3 tips for TikTok and 3 tips for Instagram.
TikTok. Okay, so you're asking me these deep questions. I'm like, damn. TikTok.
You know, like
You
you've grown that
definitely
big of a following. I'd never let you like not take this opportunity.
Yeah. TikTok, use always 5 hashtags. Make sure 2 of those hashtags are like very specific and consistent. So like if you're somebody who talks about manifestation always has to be in your TikTok like 5 hashtags. You can use more than 5 hashtags, but if you really want to train the algorithm, because the algorithm is learning, right? It's like almost like a person. You have to tell it what you want. Oftentimes people are posting things on TikTok and they're like, oh, this one's gonna go viral just randomly. There's a science behind it. Take a fucking Instagram course or something, right? But or see what other people are doing. That's something I sit down a lot and is the analytical research. I watch people in my field and I see, okay, they made a topic about this and it popped off. Am I really well known? Do I know a lot about this topic that I can add? It's because sometimes even like you'll see on TikTok, people compete, right? For like the same subject matter, like psychic protection. So what I like to do is like, okay, if I see somebody who makes a video on psychic protection, but it's definitely missing a bunch of pieces to it, I'll stitch that video and then add the pieces that are like missing from that video. I don't slam the previous creator. I say, okay, this video is great. Go check out that person's video. But as a shaman that's been doing this my entire life, these are some key things that I've learned personally from my experience, right? And when you do that, you start creating bonds with people. You start networking. Social media. Oftentimes people are like, oh my God, I don't like talking to people. I don't like this. Like, if that's your vibe, you're not going to succeed, because I can tell you for sure, I have made some of the greatest connections through TikTok by stitching someone's post, and that's actually how I ended up working with celebrities. Like, there was a time on TikTok where there was a huge debate about chakras. I didn't want to post a video. Something said, okay, you got to post a video. I did it, and I ended up getting into like, this circle of influencers that are now changing the world. If I didn't make that TikTok, I wouldn't have been able to get here. So the 5, you want to make sure, number 1, the 5 hashtags. If you're always doing manifestation, make sure you do that. If you have a specific brand with your, hashtag, like for me, Antohai, right? Like I literally have a hashtag named Antohai. And if you look it up on TikTok, I have like 9 million plus views on that one hashtag. So anytime someone types in Antohai or anything that's related to my name, my hashtag is already populating all my videos. And then that's good. That's a channel on TikTok itself that's going to keep playing for people who are interested into your content. So that's number 1, the tags. Number 2 would be, making sure that you add value, even if you don't always agree with somebody online, the connections on TikTok are like everything. That's where the real money is, right? Number three would be, take advantage of every aspect of TikTok. So you want to make sure that, you're trying to use the best trending sounds, like not just the sounds that you think are hot, but actually do the research and see, okay, are certain people using the same consistent sound? How populated is it? If you can find something that's under 20,000 likes when it comes to a sound, that's something that you definitely want to use. You might even want to create your own sounds. One of my friends, he's a really well-known Instagram and TikToker actually. And one of the things that he's been doing as of late that's made him pop off is he's taking clips from Esther Hicks and he's just overlaying himself, kind of like doing these monologues with it. And because Esther Hicks is so like well known and not everyone has heard all the different lecture pieces that she's made, he makes it fun, he makes it interesting, and that keeps drawing in. He's not trying to reinvent the wheel. He's just trying to like make it look a different way. He's taking Esther's vibe, who she's done all the heavy lifting, and he's just putting his fun spin on it. That's a great way to like really pop off on TikTok. For Instagram, Instagram is about the aesthetic of your personality, where TikTok is more so about like, how can I deliver fast, impactful information to you? Instagram is more so like, who are you? How do I get to know you as a person? It's almost like a vlog, a personal diary. So if you're always just delivering, and this is what I say a lot on Instagram, if you're always just delivering, oh, this is my new course, or oh, this is, what you have to do, like just slides or whatever, you're not going to really transmit your personality through Instagram, and that's actually going to hurt your brand on Instagram. Again, Instagram is also networking. So if you really want to be known in a specific way on Instagram, you got to pick 5 different accounts that are very close to your niche. So for me, it's Sahara Rose, Shaman Durek, this is calling me crazy. There's like 5 different people. And what I do is I sit on their accounts, like at least 90 minutes a day, and I will engage with their posts. I will engage with some of their followers. I'll even start following some of the people that they have, and I keep staying consistent on these 5 platforms. And what it ends up doing, it tells Instagram, hey, you must be friends with these people, which I am. You're friends with these people. If you're hanging out with these people or you're constantly engaging with these people, then their audiences are going to like your content. And eventually, if you stick to it, you're going to end up on people's explore page, where it's like, okay, you'll see a video of Shaman Durek and then immediately a video of yours, and people are going to be like, oh, new content, let me click that out, right? Even though Shaman Durek and I are both shamans, we talk about totally different things. And that's kind of like helps, because sometimes he'll make a video and I didn't watch it, but I made a video that's very complimentary to his video, right? So number 1 is like, remember, networking 5 accounts. Number 2 is basically, making sure that you transmit your personality. Have fun with it. Instagram is definitely more about fun than it is on TikTok. TikTok can make things seem fun, but you want to have this aesthetic, almost like a consistency, rather with your colors, your messaging, the way you post, right? A lot of times people get stuck on their Instagram like, oh, my grid doesn't look like super fancy. Who cares? But is the grid colorful? Like, if I were to come on your Instagram page, do I want to stay on there because of the colors or the engagement or the reels or whatever? Instagram right now is competing heavily with TikTok. So you have to understand that reels is where your money's at. Like, yeah, okay, carousels, photos, all that other stuff is going to still be helpful. But if you're not posting reels consistently, and you're not posting reels that deliver an impact in general based off of your personality, you're going to miss out on a lot of different things. Because TikTok is, let me go back. Let me retract. Instagram is more so about like glam, is the best way to talk about it. You're not being fake, but you're also like, you want to be in this vibe where and it's so hard to describe, because again, it's a language that I've learned, so like I haven't really like always fully expressed it. But Instagram is this energy where you have to be social. You even have to DM people on a regular basis. You need to have engagement in your stories. You have to be able to repost things. You want to be relatable in all these different ways, and relatability is not engineered. like that's the other thing that a lot of people have a hard time understanding about Instagram is like, oh, I'm gonna make the most perfect piece of content. That's fake. Like that's not you. Like the most recent one that I posted that popped off again was just me at the beach swimming, and it was 15 seconds long. That's one of the things that's really great about Instagram right now. People's like attention span. So that's what I actually want to say. It's like you should make a video between 6 seconds and 14 seconds long. If you're able to do that, that's going to retain a lot of attention, and it's going to keep pushing your content up and up and up. Where on TikTok, you would want to make a minute to 90-second video or more. Like that's not going to work on Instagram. So you have to be willing to also put text into your stuff. Sometimes it's going to be really annoying to do, but most people read off of their stuff. Like I'm on my phone 24/7 and I don't have the sound on. Like if you don't have text, I'm going to roll right by your video because I don't have time to listen to it, or I'm not in a position to listen to it. So you have to understand that kind of like it's a smaller attention span. You need to have the vocalization in text, and you also have to be consistent with the messaging and the networking that comes from that.
Absolutely love it. And you know, mate, I've took notes, and I'd be stupid not to. Obviously, like working with you for so long, like and know like how much your fans love you. Is possibly the only way to describe it. So what we are going to do, guys, now is now that I just got that little marketing element in because he is a pro. We are now, guys, going to move to developing $1 million mindset. Buddy, take it away.
Yeah, I gotcha. All right, so developing $1 million mindset. I'm going to give you a little bit of a back through on me as well, even though we talked about it a little bit. So my name is Axel. Hey, what's going on? Everyone knows me as Antohai on the internet for the most part, but Antohai is actually my brand, and I'm the founder of what I call the Antohai brand legacy. Meaning Antohai has many different branches. We have Antohai Shamanic Wellness, which is like my local shop. We have Antohai Quantum Reiki, which are specific courses. And my story is really, really interesting because when courses started first popping off, like online courses, it still wasn't an industry. It was still very experimental. There was no guideline to it, right? There wasn't like, oh yeah, this is how you make the perfect course. So I was one of the first pioneers to actually just like mess around with content creation. And Instagram was still around there, but like it wasn't what it is now. So because of my experimentation, I became globally famous at the age of 27. So I ended up like getting my brand at, in 145 countries and 47 languages. And it made me well known as a leader in energy medicine and consciousness reprogramming. So I have consistently made top performing best-selling courses on multiple platforms because of what I've given you so far, talking just to Brian, like the authenticity, the consistency, understanding what I'm doing on certain platforms and what isn't working on others, and then consistently taking all the data to make my brand even stronger. Today, we have over 100,000 students around the globe that I've trained, that are certified through my school. They're out there working with doctors. They're out there doing like the work of shifting the world. My mission, my idea, the original, conception of all this was how do I make as much of an impact or ripple effect as possible in the shortest amount of time possible. The internet, I need to learn how to bend time and space in some way to get out there and help as many people as possible. That was my mindset, okay? I've worked with celebrities like Gwyneth Paltrow, Sahara Rose, spiritual operator, and more, as well as multimillionaires and billionaires. Now, the reason why I've gotten into this and how I got to work with specific celebrities is, again, networking. That's how you, like, at first, you're not going to have the networking power to get to Gwyneth Paltrow, right? You're not going to have that originally. But if you keep going at it and you keep building your brand, eventually people recognize your brand and you become an authority where now if someone's looking for like quick subconscious reprogramming, all the celebrities know, shit, like Axel's the one that really knows what he's doing. Let's go to him because he's no bullshit. You need to understand as well that your brand is going to come down to like a main mantra. My main mantra has always been like, no fluff, no bullshit, get to the core. Let's get you transformed as quickly as possible, right? If I can do it in one session and I never see you again, That's cool with me. It's not about the money, it's about the impact. Okay. That's what's literally grown me exponentially. And most people don't understand, how do you have a thriving business if you don't have returning clientele? Because they're going to go and tell 10 people that I had an amazing experience with him. This is the guy you got to go to. And when they come through and those people have an experience, guess what? They're going to keep sharing it to over other people until it gets to Gwyneth Paltrow. You know what I mean? You really need to get to that level of understanding. You're creating a web. It's literally the World Wide Web. You're creating your own web thread in the internet of cosmic consciousness. I've been featured on top consciousness development podcasts. Like, I've literally been on the top ones. This year we found out that I was one of the top 10 performing podcasts on the High Self podcast with Sarah Rose. She's had that podcast for 5 years running. I was only featured on it, like what, at the beginning of the end of last year, the beginning of this year, and I was already on the top 10, right? And I'm up there with some really big names. And it's because I have this passion for what I do. I've been in publications like Yahoo and Disrupt Magazine, just because of COVID and how my business exploded in COVID. And you want to be able to recognize that, like, you part of your job as an entrepreneur, as a celebrity, as whatever it is that you want to consider yourself, is to get your name out there. That's getting people talking about you. You cannot just consider yourself as like somebody who's noteworthy to talk about, because that's not going to get you far. You need to get a way to have people continuously sharing your information or coming back to understand things with you. Because of all this, I became a millionaire at age 30. Okay. And I've gone to help others create other six-figure businesses. Now, when it comes to like becoming a millionaire, there's a lot of ups and downs that come with it. Once you hit this moment of becoming a millionaire, what made you a millionaire is not going to make you a multimillionaire. You need to shift your consciousness once you hit a specific goal. And we're going to be walking into that. But basically what I'm getting down to is like, if you haven't figured it out, I know my shit, right? So like, I'm gonna
next. I know my
right.
shit. Yes.
So I'm gonna hook you up with literally the mindset. Like, again, when I'm sharing everything with you guys, understand that I've spent $500,000 trying to understand this. And unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, but like, one of the things that I've learned is like, no matter how many times you work with like different millionaires and billionaires, you're always going to hear the same answers coming through and through and through and through and through until it clicks. And these are the takeaways of everything. This is going to save you like hundreds of thousands of dollars. Okay. So what I'm going to give you is the spine for the future. Like, your spine holds up your whole entire body. Without it, you're just going to be a sack of jelly and just skin, right? Just on the floor. So this is a spine that's going to literally not only carry you in your beginning stages, but into the future when your business has grown way beyond what you even believed it could ever be. All right. So what we're going to be going through here is how to get your mindset right for growing an online business. That's going to be the first thing. And then we're going to go into how to attract business with your mind and your energy. Finally, we're going to go into sustainability and future growth. These are going to be the pillar to your success. So make sure you take notes. Make sure that you're like constantly coming back to this, because maybe today you'll be like, oh yeah, I get it. But you still have to go through the experience of seeing it in action. And that's when it becomes wisdom. You have to have experience for it to become a secondhand nature. So we're gonna go first into like, how do you create a online business, right? Like a growing online business. This is your process for growth, 100%. You first have to always factor yourself into the equation. Oftentimes people are like, oh yeah, I want the business that's gonna make so much money and blah, 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 so I don't have to do anything. By the time, like, it's going to take you like at least a year or two to run your business to a point where it's self-sustainable and you can walk away from it every so often, right? But it's not going to happen, very rarely it's not going to happen like, right instantaneously. When I say factor yourself into the equation, you have to take care of yourself. That means checking in with yourself every 30 to 90 days. Okay, what lifestyle are you creating? Now, sometimes people are like, oh yeah, I wanted to have an online business so like I can spend more time with my family. No one told me that the first 2 or 3 years of my business were going to be me not being able to have that time to spend with my family. You have to be willing to have an ebb and flow, again, like a give and take with what you're creating. Okay. Now, when I say factor yourself into the equation as well, it's like, one of the things that took me a long time to understand is like, if I didn't give myself a massage at least once a month, or I did like a float tank, or I decided to like take a week off, I didn't have the momentum to continue building my brand into the future. Like I would hit burnout. Burnout is super, super common with content creators, entrepreneurs, like anybody really who is first getting into this, until you understand your structure that does not let you get to burnout. If you can create the structure right now that does not let you like ever hit burnout, you're going to be more successful, and you're going to reach your goals faster than 90% of the people around you. So you need to be real with yourself. Like, if you like to get your nails painted every week because that's therapeutic for you and it just kind of like resets your brain, allot that into your schedule. For me, I had to understand that on Sundays, I cannot work. Sunday is my meditation day. I turn off my phone. I don't answer client emails. I don't do any of that. Like, the world can be on fire, but that day is sacred for me and I can deal with it on Monday. You know what I mean? So you have to understand, what is it that you need in your life to help you stay sustainable so that your business can stay sustainable. Oftentimes people don't recognize that the business and you are almost identical in a way, and they are separate people. So it's kind of like this alchemy, this synthesis, that if you're just only giving 110% of your energy into the business, that's going to take away from you. And I was definitely there. I wanted to grow my business so huge that I ended up having virtually 4 hours sleeps, like not even like 2 hours sleeps a night. You know, I was working over 120 hours a week. I never saw my husband. You know, like it was this really, it got to a point where I was like, oh my God, I don't even want to do this anymore. I hit this burnout where I was like, I'm going to even walk away from everything I created because it's not letting me live the life that I wanted to live. And that's when I had to realize, okay, I never factored myself into the equation. If I don't factor myself into the equation, then I'm the one to blame ultimately for not even seeing myself as an asset to the business. Now, the second thing that you need to understand is you need to fail fast and you need to fail hard. One of the things that I tell my students constantly is, especially even if I see it, like a great example is the last couple months, my students who have been creating their six-figure businesses, they've had nightmare clients, okay? And even though I know that the person that's come to their business is a nightmare client, I'll still warn them. I'll tell my student, hey, you know, this is how this shit's gonna play out, right? Like, you're gonna not really like what's about to happen, but I'm not gonna tell you to let go of the client. I'm not gonna tell you to like walk away from this or just press eject, because the sooner you understand what you don't want to be experiencing, is the sooner you can focus on what you do want to experience. So my students, by failing fast and failing hard, I've been able to understand, okay, I don't like working with people who have this particular vibe, this particular mindset, who don't do their homework, who don't do this. And then now they're getting able to evaluate and almost investigate in the first meeting of somebody what it is that they're looking for the ideal client, right? That's what's going to really get them to reach success. And you have to be willing to say no, right? You no to yourself and no to other people is part of the failing fast concept, right? One of the things that people do is like they'll fail fast and they'll fail hard, but they don't understand what boundaries then to create. So if I worked, you know, with specific clients, and this is a great example of me personally. I used to do a lot of tarot readings and energy healings for people who were like wondering about their love lives, right? And after doing it for a while, I realized that there's a consistent pattern with working with people who only want to know about their love life. They want you to tell them the best case scenario, even if the best case scenario isn't there. They want you to lie to them because that's going to make them feel better. I don't lie to people. That's not my vibe. So I don't want to work with love related topics anymore because it's draining my energy and it's not the kind of clientele that I want. I had to do like a series of probably 100 of those sessions before I was like, nope, this is done, this is whatever. And part of that too is like, you know, with those clients that I would work with, I also had to understand how their mentality was working, what they really wanted from me, how they were finding me, why they felt like they wanted to come to me for reading their love, you know, situations. And nowadays I won't do it unless you're a high profile client. Like, I've been working with you for a hot minute and love hasn't been an issue whatsoever throughout our time. Then one day you just randomly come through and you're like, hey, I need to know a little bit about my relationship. okay, I'll work with you because we're focusing on something else. This is not the main topic of what we're doing. The sooner you figure out, again, what not to do, is the sooner you will hit your target goals. So a lot of times people are afraid of failure. Like, I don't want to like spend this money and not have it returned. Let me just tell you something. I can't even tell you how much money I've spent but at this point with my business. Sometimes you hire some shitty people, okay? Like they can give you a really great like presentation, their resume looks amazing, but when it comes to actual execution, they cannot deliver. And then that's where you need to be like, okay, I need to let this person go. That failed. Okay, let me be more specific. And especially if you're going to be hiring freelancers and stuff like that to do like whatever kind of work you're doing, you're going to be going through a rotation. This is something that no one tells you in building your business and building your team, is like it does take time to find the right people, to train the right people so that they can have the same aesthetic and vision that you have. Oftentimes we get into like this position as business owners to hire, freelancers or whatever, and we just expect that person to just know what it is that we want. Like, it's in my head, you see it on my page, why can't you execute it the same way that I am? Because it's your dream. You have to literally train someone else to understand what your dream is, and sometimes you're going to waste your time doing that. And again, the more you fail, the better you're going to get at it. So originally, when I started hiring like social media people to help me really understand the analytics of my brand, all I had said is like, I need somebody who understands spiritual content. That's so broad, right? And then the first person that came through didn't make it happen, right? And I had to let that person go. So then coming back, that was a fail. I came back and said, okay, I need somebody who understands spirituality, law of attraction, energy work, right? And I posted that. The next person came through. That kind of failed. Okay, let me keep adjusting until we found the person who truly did understand the brand and fit the bill, right? We had to keep failing. We had to keep spending money. We had to keep testing. Your business, everything that you're creating is a constant experiment. If you don't like to create, if you don't like to experiment, if you don't like to like potentially put yourself on the edge, right? Like when it comes to like skydiving, right? When you're about to skydive, there's like this energy. You're like, oh crap, no, but you're already there, right? Like you might as well just do it, see what happens, and hopefully you come out on the other side. If not, guess what? Like you can press a redo, not in real life, but at least in your business. Um, smart. The third concept here is smart money is more money. So this one's the one that like so many people miss. It's often believed that you need to spend a lot of money to execute your business to be successful. Let me tell you something. Do you want to know how much my business takes to run? Just a couple $1,000s. That's it. And I know maybe for you right now, if you're like starting off your business, a couple $1,000s seems crazy. But at this point, a couple $1,000s is like the least amount of expenditure that I can do in my business. When I first started doing my business, it was only $300 a month. And that I had to pay for everything, my website, my scheduler, everything. And as my business grew, my expenditures had to grow to sustain that, right? So if you have to just be willing to understand that at the beginning, when you're starting off your business, you don't have to execute a lot of money. You need to learn how to apply the money, right? A lot of times you can find free resources online. Like you can take a class on Google Analytics if you wanted to. Google has a bunch of free classes. You can learn how to do your own ads for a hot minute until you cannot, execute them yourself for a while. You can understand that like there are these free schedulers online and like different prices. A lot of times people just will find the first thing that is out there on the internet, and usually the most obvious solution is the most expensive solution. And I've tried to like save a lot of my students from this. If they don't talk to me before they end up doing any of the things that they're supposed to do for their business, they spend more money than they need to, because you can build a website super fast for virtually nothing. There's so many different outsourcing platforms with different price ranges. If you don't like shopping, right? Like I love shopping. I love finding the best deal possible. I'll see if it's better on Amazon. I'll see if it's better on eBay. I'll see if it's better on some foreign site that I found on Google. I'll go to the actual store that I know will carry the place just to see what's the best price. The internet and your business and smart money is the same way. Like you cannot just apply your money at the first thing that comes at you, especially if you're working. Nowadays, like our technology can hear what we're saying, or it can preemptively like almost predict where we're going to go next. Especially with TikTok, we've seen that happen. like it's gonna normally throw you the most obvious answer, like, oh, here, like we overheard you talking about, like wanting to build a website. Here's this website builder who costs like $50,000, like, but this is the best guy, right? If you don't have $50,000, then it makes you feel like, oh man, how am I ever gonna get ahead? Guess what? You can go somewhere else and do like the almost like the price comparison, and you can find somebody who can do it for at an affordable price. And the main thing is to keep the cogs moving. Okay, that's where smart money comes in. Oftentimes people are like, oh my god, I gotta wait till everything's in place so I can make everything like pop off. No, you need to just keep moving. That's what smart money does. Money is flowing constantly. If in one way, shape, or form, it's going to manifest itself for you. So it doesn't take a lot of money to make millions. It just takes smart money to make millions. It's pretty much the gist of it. Okay. And sometimes, like some people are like, I can't build my business off of Instagram. One of the things that we did at the very beginning of 2020 was like using the Instagram DMs to like message people and say, hey, what's up? Like blah 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 blah. Like this is my brand. Do you need any help or whatever? Instagram's free, okay? And we probably made like $100,000 off of Instagram DMs just alone, right? And that was in 1 year. So it's just kind of like you have the resources there. You just have to make sure that you apply things. I have a great friend who has probably only paid $10 a month ever for his website, and he uses all the Google tools, so like Google Forms, Google website, all this other stuff, all the free Google tools, and he's making seven figures. Like he literally pays $10 a month to just run his business. It's insane. So it's one of those things that you really have to understand, like not all of us are spending thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to like execute our dreams. It's how we're applying it, who we're working with, and how we're thinking about things. The way you think about things is really, again, mindset, what's going to open up the doors for you. If you think that it's more difficult than what it is, you're going to end up manifesting that reality, and that's going to be the end result for you. So, number 4, your industry is always evolving. This is the process for growth. Oftentimes, people will end up failing after several years because they did not grow with their brand. So, one of the things that we do here at Onto High is we're constantly researching what are the most popular trends right now. People are talking about manifestation all of a sudden right now. Let's make content on manifestation. Let's write a blog about manifestation. Let's make a service or a class about manifestation. Oh, look, 2 weeks have passed. Now everyone's talking about the throat chakra. Let's pivot to cater to the freaking throat chakra. And the thing is, like, everything you create should be turned into evergreen content. It should be something that is working for you. So if you make a YouTube video talking about the throat chakra, for the next 2 weeks, stitch that into your website somehow, so that when people go into your website, they're like, oh, I want to know more about the chakras. Oh, look, there's a blog about the throat chakra. I feel like that's what I've been dealing with. They go on that blog, they read your blog, they watch your YouTube video. It's an ecosystem that's starting to spin around, and the person stays more invested in you. They get to understand who you are, what your values are, how you can help them, and eventually that person will create themselves as a client. If that person doesn't create themselves as a client, that person's still going to be a follower. And if they're not a follower, they're going to recommend someone to you. Your industry is always evolving. The moment you stay stagnant is the moment that you're going to die. You need to keep learning as a person, as a business, as a team, and as a niche. These are different aspects of themselves, right? So one of the things that you end up doing when you hit 7 figures is like, yeah, you're going to be focusing more on yourself than you are on the actual business and the niche, because now you need to evolve as a person. You need to understand, where have I been stagnant in the way that I execute my Instagram, the way that I talk to people, the way that I've been feeling comfortable, right? Like there comes a point where you need to be real with yourself and say, I'm playing within a specific framework, a specific circle, and that's not going to be helpful for you in any way, shape, or form. So you have to keep evolving. Like, and when we talk about evolving, that eventually means like you're gonna have to have team growth. That means you're gonna have to pay people eventually. You may not have to do that for the first 2 or 3 years, but there's gonna come a point where you realize, dude, I'm not getting any sleep. Oh my God, I'm not really well versed in this one program. That's when you need to be smart money, right? And you need to evolve with your business and say, okay, I'm gonna hire somebody who does understand this program and can do it faster than I can. I'm going to outsource, even if that person can't become a part of my team. What are others doing to expand is another thing that you need to be asking yourself. You need to be looking at the people that are around you, not because you're competing against them, but they have little things that are there that are going to be really sharing with, like, the wisdom that they've been gathering. One of the things that popped me off on TikTok with this methodology I'm telling you is I saw a bunch of people talking about money manifestation. And I'm like, I fucking know how to do that, right? Like, I manifested 6 figures, 7 figures. Like, I'm gonna go online because everyone was talking about money in this moment, and I'm gonna talk about how to make money through manifestation, mindset, energy work, the things that no one else was talking about. Everyone else was talking about EFT tapping, journaling, all this other stuff. When I was telling you, okay, if you literally do this one thing, watch how much money comes through out of nowhere. Because I have personal physical experience with energy and mindset to get you there. Yeah, the other content creators were doing great. You know, like, that's not a problem of what they were sharing, but they weren't sharing what I could bring to the table. And that's where I started taking some time to see, okay, they're talking about money. They're talking about these specific situations of money. They're creating these kinds of content. You know, like, oftentimes you want to be on the video too and be talking about, like, oh yeah, these are my experiences. But a lot of the content on TikTok that pops off are the ones that have text on it, where you're like, you know, you're swimming in a beach and, you know, there's text overlaid on the video, nothing super crazy. That is going to help you understand where your business is going. Make sure you use, you know, Answer the Public, Google Trends, all that other stuff to really get you to the next level. Now, energy mindset. This one right here is where a lot of people, like, really struggle. What do evil and good millionaires have in common? World value, literally. Because it doesn't matter if most people talk shit about Jeff Bezos, but guess what? They talk shit about him because he's so rich and they're jealous to some degree. What did he end up doing for the rest of the world? He delivered a value that made the world's life easier, like literally the world easier. Now you can purchase something and have it delivered same day at your house if you wanted to. You never have to leave. That's a convenience that is undescribable. It's priceless. Like, he was a genius for doing that. What's another great example of a entrepreneur that's done something amazing? I can't think of one right now, but like, Bruce Lipton's another great guy. Like, he just decided he wanted to go out and start sharing his truth on what he found on epigenetics, and that's changed all of science as a whole in general. He gave value. You need to figure out where your value comes from. So a lot of times when I work with people are like, I want to make money, but money's evil. No, it's not. Like, people are evil. People do shitty things with money. Money is ultimately just an end result of, like, how much value you gave to the world. Some people give more value and consistent value and a bunch of different kinds of value to the world. Antahai gives coaching. Antahai has a tarot deck. Antahai has courses. Antahai has workshops. Like, we have all these different things going on. We're consistently providing value at different price scales, in different ways, at different events, so people can feel like they have an opportunity to get involved. Okay, how do I make lives better? That should be the main thing that you're always asking yourself in any way, shape, or form. Now, here are some of the true secrets of wealth that, again, no one's going to tell you about when it comes to, like, really creating an identity that helps you succeed. The first thing that's most important, on top of what kind of value you're delivering to the world, is identity shifting and architecting. Your success is tied to your self-image and ego strength. So oftentimes people are going to tell you, your ego, you got to destroy your ego. Oh my God, you're so egotistical. Let me tell you something. If the ego was an issue, a lot of the most top millionaires would not be as rich as they are. Okay, there's a ton of rich people who have a huge ego. So clearly the ego is not the issue. It's whether or not the ego is empowered to make the action. So this is where I tell people often, you need to keep continuously creating an identity shift. Okay, you need to ask yourself, okay, who am I? Where am I going? Who do I ultimately want to be? Even if you had to create an alter ego where, like, when you show up to work, there's a version of you that's more confident, that feels like more happy, that wants to, really have that really huge expansion. But yeah, like, that's pretty much the gist of it. Are we good on time, Brian?
Couple minutes. We're a little bit late, but I've just let Saba know that we're a little bit late, so that's good. Come on.
Okay, cool. I have 2 more slides and I'll go over it. I'll do this. I'll do it really fast. The second one is everything is energy, everything is consciousness. Your words, your thoughts, your feelings, your body language, clothing, your close company, your personal beliefs, your environment, all of that's going to play into how much money you make and how much of an impact you can do. Now, I talk about money just because that's the main focus that most people go into business for. But really, this comes down to like the law of attraction. If you're talking about, oh my God, how difficult things are, if you're thinking about like, oh my God, why should I show up to this? If you're hanging out with people who don't believe in your dream, that's going to basically hold you back. So you need to look at these key factors. Number three is track your success in every way. Celebrate your wins. Success does not equal fulfillment. Okay, this is something else that a lot of people end up hitting. They're like, oh yeah, once I'm creating all this success, I'm going to feel so fulfilled and my purpose is here. Definitely not true. They're not the same thing. Fulfillment comes from the impact that you give people and the way that you keep track of your impact. So you need to basically, when you have had like a $3,000 client, your first one, go treat yourself out to like a dinner or something like that. You always have to have like some sort of track record on those days specifically where you're like, I'm not worth shit, right? You open up this notebook and you're like, oh my God, wait a minute. I've done all these things. Like, this is amazing. My personality, my ego, let me keep architecting who I am and step into that energy. The final piece to all of this is sustainability and growth, right? So money is a matrix game. A matrix is basically like a system that continues to evolve and has a set parameters, right? So as you grow your business, you need to create healthy boundaries. That means you don't put all of your eggs in one basket, all right? So in Onto High, we don't just create courses, right? We have coaching, we have tarot decks, we have this, we have that. We didn't put all of our eggs in one basket. We have even different branches of the same brand in general, just so that people can find what resonates with them, right? You want to diversify. Number two, you want to turn your business into an asset. A lot of times people are like, oh yeah, like my business this, my business that. Where you really start making the money is when you turn it into an asset. You use the asset leverage for your business to grow. That means, all the crystals, the spiritual tech that you buy, all the stuff that like you love and is helping your business is a write-off now. Those are assets that are to the business, and you can start creating like this energy of sustainability when you get into that. You need to lock down your brand now. That means if you know that your brand is associated to energy healing, how do you get all the trademarks, all the licenses for your brand? Antohai has a ton of trademarks. Okay, we own a ton of different variations of the name. Even if we're not going to use it in the future, you might use it. You never know. But at least you secured your brand. Oftentimes, people will create an amazing brand. They don't secure the most basic things, and then someone comes out of nowhere and just steals their stuff right up from under them. You need to make sure your brand is protected. Start locking it down now. It does not take too much to like get your trademarks or anything like that done. It's probably just a couple $100. But the sooner you do that, the safer you're gonna feel and the more fast of a growth you're gonna have. Collaboration is key for viral growth. So always be willing to work with other people, but do understand that there are some people who just want to take from you. So again, this is where fail fast and hard kind of comes in, because you're not going to always be able to predict this, but you'll eventually get good at it. And then you make collaborations that help your brand grow and other people's brand grow. Like, you need to also think about that when you're pitching to somebody. What kind of value can you bring to somebody else's brand? And then finally, becoming financially literate. I cannot express this to you enough. I most recently worked with an entrepreneur who inherited $300,000 from his dad, who had just passed away. And I kid you not, in less than a month, he only had $60,000 left. And then by the I don't by 90 days, he only had $10,000 left. And it was just like he saw all this money and didn't know how to handle it. So he spent it on cars that he didn't need to, like, as though like the money was just going to keep flowing in out of nowhere. Financial literacy is a must if you're going to have a business. Pick up Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Think and Grow Rich, the 4-Hour Work Week. These are all books, and there's more, obviously, that will help you understand how to actually apply money. This is where, instead of buying crap, you buy assets, right? Like, If you can't spend your money consistently on assets, then you're wasting money is the best way to look at it, right? If it's not helping you grow your net worth overall, it's wasting money. And you need to understand that that could be in any area. Financial literacy would be the main thing. I can't obviously go into it too much right now, but you cannot lose if you don't stop. That's the last piece of it all, is you have to understand that it's going to be hard some days and you're going to have a lot of issues with certain things. As long as you're not like, I'm giving up, right? You cannot lose. The moment you say I stop, that's when your dream is dead. And there's nothing worse than letting your dream die and then later waking up the next day and saying, oh my God, you know what? I'm going to go back at it, because then you lost the trust of your community. You lost the trust of yourself to be consistent with your brand. And what is your brand now? It's kind of like there, but not really. So the main mantra is you are now, okay? The I am, all right? You got this. Constantly tell yourself right now, how am I embodying the person that I want to be? Okay, I am actually creating my website. I am that person right now. I am the entrepreneur that's getting to 7 figures. And you got to constantly have that narrative. Okay, today I'm creating this thing. I am the entrepreneur that is creating this new business of 7 figures. You got to keep being your best friend, your best coach. And on the days that is difficult, don't be afraid to fucking take a break. Like, just breathe. That's part of the equation of your success. So if you need me for anything else, I know this was a really short presentation on my end, but my YouTube is Untitled Quantum Reiki. My TikTok's Untitled Quantum Reiki. Find me on Instagram at Antihigh, and you can always message me on antihigh.us as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much, mate. I could sit and listen to you all day, and you know it. And it looks like you've obviously picked up some followers, like powerful insights, got some gems for social media, and I know exactly what to focus on next. So you have, as usual, mate, you have brought value. Mate, you know I love you. You know I could literally spend all day with you. So no, I've took enough of your holiday. Go and enjoy the rest of Aruba, mate. And thank you so much, guys. Remember, the links I will put in the YouTube description. Please go and have a conversation with him. He is amazing. And we will see you on the next workshop starting straight away.
Thanks for having me. Love you. Bye.
Bye, buddy.